morning, students. Students, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Today I'm going to introduce concept of trophic level. Actually, it comes under ecology, right? Previously, we discussed about structure of ecosystem and function of ecosystem, right? And productivity and types of productivity, NPP and the GPP, right? This topic that we have discussed in previous class. Now let us continue. Concept of trophic level. If it actually concept of trophic level is nothing but it is a position of an organism in an ecosystem, in a food chain, that is called as a trophic level. Actually, trophic level is represented by T, right? Trophic level is represented by T. This is a trophy. The trophy, which means the trophic means food or feed. Food or feed. So the term trophic, that means food or feed, right? What is the trophic level? It is nothing more, it is a position of an organism in an ecosystem. If you take pond ecosystem or a forest ecosystem or a grassland ecosystem or in any type of ecosystem, it is representing a position of an organism in every trophic structure, right? So that is called a concept of trophic level. Actually, this trophic level can be illustrated by a pyramid. I'd like to mention a pyramid. Please understand. Now, this is a ecological pyramid. Just I want to explain what is a trophic level, right? If you take now, this is a pyramid in which there are different organisms are occupied in an ecosystem, right? The first one, let me take T1. Always the T1 which occupies in bottom of the trophic structure. Dear student, kindly cooperate. Dear students and parents, you are kindly requested to cooperate while teaching, right? Okay. So as I said, it is a representation of position of an organism in every level of an ecosystem. I mean, in food chain, right? So that is called a trophic structure. Actually, this trophic structure consists of 4 levels. The level 1 is always a producer. Level 1 in which producer which occupies. And level 2 that occupies trophic level 2. It is occupied by consumer or primary consumer. And trophic level 3 is occupied always. It is represented by T3. T3 is nothing but trophic level 3 that occupies a 3rd level. And the fourth one is T4. So it shows the irreversible imposition, right? Simply I can say the trophic structure which consists of 4 elements, namely T1, T2, T3 and T4. I repeat once again. T1 is nothing but T1 represents trophic level 1 that occupies always bottom of the trophic structure. Just imagine, my dear student, it is a trophic structure of an ecosystem in forest or pond or tree or whatever it may be or wherever it may be, right? So this trophic structure consists of 4 basic elements, namely T1. T1 is nothing but always a producer or T1, producer. What are producer? All the green plants are producer. That means a plant which involves in manufacturing of food, that is included under T1. Now, T1 is nothing but trophic structure 1 that occupies in trophic level 1 or the first element or the bottom of the trophic structure in which all the green plants are occupied. So that is a T1. Now, this is T1, as I said, simply trophic level or trophic structure that represents a position of an organism. Here, the producer is occupied the first level or T1 level or bottom of the trophic structure. That's why I indicate at the very beginning, a trophic structure represents of a position of an organism in an ecosystem. So here, producer or organism which are occupied in trophic level 1. Now we can find out in trophic structure where producer occupied here T1. T1 is always occupies at the bottom of the trophic structure. Now this is a position of producer. Okay. The next we pass on to T2 or trophic level 2. As I said, trophic level 2 is nothing but the producer or eaten by an organism. That is called a primary consumer. So simply I can say P stands for primary consumer. What are primary consumer? Those organisms which are eaten producer are the green plants are fed by some organism which are said to be as primary consumer. Right? I repeat once again. T2, it's a second level of trophic structure that occupies second place in a trophic structure that encloses primary consumer. What are primary consumer? The producer are eaten by some organism. They are called as primary consumer. The primary consumer occupies a second level of trophic structure. That's why I mentioned the trophic level is nothing but it is a position of an organism here. The primary consumer occupies the second level of trophic structure of an ecosystem in the environment, right? Now you can understand exactly primary consumer is always occupied T2 or a trophic level structure 2, right? The next we pass on to T3, trophic level 3. Always it occupies the third place, right? This is a T3 is nothing but trophic structure 3 in which a primary consumer are eaten by another organism. They are secondary consumer. Secondary consumer. The secondary consumers are a group of organisms or an individual organism which is going to feed primary consumer. Or simply, the primary consumer is eaten by some organism which are said to be a secondary consumer. Always the secondary consumer occupies a T3. I'm talking about the position of secondary consumer in third place of trophic structure of an ecosystem in the environment, right? And T4 is nothing but it is a final organism or this is the final element of a trophic structure in which you find top carnivorous, right? Or tertiary consumer. Particularly, I can say it is a tertiary consumer. What are tertiary consumer? The secondary consumer are eaten by some organism. They are called tertiary consumer. On the other way, I can say those organisms which are going to feed or eat secondary consumer, they are called tertiary consumer. This is a tertiary consumer always occupies a trophic levels 4 or trophic structure 4. Always in the trophic structure, tertiary consumer occupies at the top of the trophic structure. Simply you can say T4 occupies top of the trophic structure. So this is nothing but it's a concept of trophic level structure. Dear students, do you understand what I mean? My dear students, could you tell me what is trophic structure? Could you tell me what is trophic structure? Trophic?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please tell us a few words. What are the elements are there? How many levels are there in trophic structure?
The trophic level refers to
Yes, today I'm seeing the screen.
4 levels.
4 elements. Very good.
4 levels.
Could you list out?
Producer,
Producer.
primary consumer,
Very good. Primary consumer.
secondary
Secondary consumer.
secondary
and
consumer,
tertiary consumer. TC always there.
Tertiary consumer.
Very good. So some organisms which are able to feed all the organism, including primary and secondary, they are said to be as omnivorous. Yes, students.
Producers.
Please understand, some organism which are able to take or feed or eat all the levels of organism, they are called omnivores. Omnivores. Here in the trophic structure, you find the omnivorous is nothing but it is an organism which takes, which feeds, which eats all the levels of organism. It may be taken producer or secondary consumer is also, it is going to be eaten by omnivorous, or sometimes secondary consumer also eaten by some organism, and finally tertiary organism also eaten by some. So this kind of organism is known as omnivorous. Dear student, now did you understand about omnivorous? Omnivorous is an organism that takes or eats or feeds all the levels of organism, including producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. Understand? Now tell me, could you tell me what is omnivorous?
the organism eat both plants and animals.
Very good. Simply you can say, on seeing the pyramid, you can understand omnivorous is nothing but it is an organism that eats all the levels of organism, including producer, consumer, right? So this is called an omnivorous, right? And I like to mention there is a primary consumer and secondary consumer. Some another terms are there for secondary consumer. Generally, if you take an ecosystem, there are some organisms. The first one is a producer, right? They are producer, and producer are eaten by herbivores. Herbivores. The herbivores are eaten by another organism. They are carnivores. Carnivores. The carnivores are always eaten by final organism, that is top carnivores. Top carnivores. Dear student, this is also another illustration for a trophic level or concept of trophic level. So when you represent the pyramid, you can understand producer always occupies trophic level 1, and the producer are eaten by some organism, they are called as herbivorous. It occupies trophic level 2, and these herbivores are eaten by another variety of organism, they are called carnivorous. Now, carnivorous occupies a trophic level 3. Carnivorous occupied by trophic level 3. Now, this is a carnivorous also eaten by some organism. They are called top carnivorous. What are they called? Top carnivorous. So, this is also another representation of trophic level structure, right? So, here in the structure, generally, in an ecosystem, you find the producer, consumer, and decomposer. There are 3 basic elements of trophic structure, right? Producer, consumer, and decomposer. Advantage, producer always occupies bottom of the trophic structure in an ecosystem, in food chain, right? And the producer are eaten by some organism, they are occupied at trophic level 2, namely herbivores. And this herbivores is also eaten by or fed by some variety of organism which occupy in 3rd trophic level structure, that is called the carnivorous. The carnivorous is also eaten by some organism in an ecosystem, right, of the environment. They are called tough carnivores. So this is a various organism representing in every trophic level structure, right? So that is a concept of trophic level structure, right? Now here you can expect some question. The producer or eaten by dash organism. Could you tell me, dear student? Producer or eaten by an organism is called dash. That is the question.
Herbivores.
In neat as well as in bold, right? In that exam, definitely you can expect, right? Some question. Producer or eaten by an organism is known as herbivorous. Very good. Then herbivorous also eaten by an organism is called dash.
Carnivorous.
Carnivores.
Now, could you tell me, carnivorous always occupies dash trophic level structure? Dash trophic level. Please mention
Third
it.
trophic level.
Third.
Level.
Very good. And the carnivorous is occupied by or eaten by another organism, namely
Top
Carnivorous.
Top carnivore.
very good. Could you mention the trophic level of top carnivorous?
Tropic
level. Fourth trophic level.
Fourth level. Now you can understand, as I said, a trophic level is nothing but it is a diagrammatic representation of position of an organism in trophic structure of an ecosystem, right? Can you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now I'm going to give some example for each trophic level, right? Yes, student. Do you want an example?
Yes, sir.
Right. Let me give one by one, right? If you take a producer, what are producer? An organism which is able to produce food material, right? That is called the producer. Could you give an example, producer? All the living organisms depending only one type of organism for getting or feeding food. Please mention the organism. Can you guess?
Plants.
Very good. Good. Very good. What's the name?
Plants.
What's the name?
Shanmugapriya.
Very good, ma'am. Good. Keep it up. So plants. Always plants are an example of producer. Very good. Now the plants where it is occupied according to the trophic level structure.
First trophic level.
Trophic level 1. If you take a trophic structure of an ecosystem, always plants which occupy trophic level 1. Very good. And the plants are eaten by some organism. Could you guess? Can you guess? Some insects, some worms. If you take a forest,
Goat.
the plants are
Cow.
Bee.
bees. Very good. I'd like to mention a very important and a very interesting animal, right? That is a rabbit, right? Is it rabbit?
Yes, sir.
Rabbit is the right example to understand. It is common for all to understand easily, right? So now this is a rabbit which is eaten plants. Simply, the plants are eaten by rabbit. Actually, rabbit is an example of herbivores. Herbivores is nothing but herbs are eaten by an organism is known as herbivore. Herbivorous, carnivorous, or herbivorous means herbaceous plants are eaten by an organism is known as herbivorous. Here, which of the following is an example of herbivorous? That is the question. Please understand which of the following is an example of herbivorous. Please mention which of the following is an example of herbivorous. A, plant, B, rabbit, C, crow. Can you guess?
A plant.
Rabbit.
Example of
Rabbit. Rabbit.
rabbit. Very good. What's the name?
Vedashi.
Very good. Very good. Keep it up. Good habit. Right. Generally, plants are eaten by some organism that I have given rabbit. Now, rabbit is a right example of herbivore because the rabbit which feeds a plant, right? So, these are rabbit which occupies in trophic level 2. T2 is represented by rabbit. Now, we can understand the position of rabbit in trophic structure, right? So, rabbit, if generally the question is going to be asked in your examination, in an ecosystem, rabbit occupies dash structure A, T1, B, T2, C, T3, or D, T4. What's your option?
T2.
Rabbit.
T2.
Very good one. Very good. Very good. Rabbit always because no, rabbit is an organism that eats plants only, right? Hence it is
Yes, sir.
occupied trophic level 2. Very good. And sometimes is a rabbit is also eaten by some organism. Namely, they are called carnivorous. Actually, herbivorous is an organism which is eaten by another variety of organism that is called carnivorous. This herbivorous is also known as a primary consumer. Herbivorous. Herbivorous is also known as primary consumer. Which of the following is known as a primary consumer? A, producer, B, carnivorous, C, herbivorous, D, top carnivorous. Please
C, herbivore.
herbivorous. Primary consumer is also known as a herbivore because this is a primary consumer or herbivorous or rabbit which is going to consume very first the plant, right? Hence it is known as a, hence it is categorized under primary consumer. Rabbit which consumes plants first in an ecosystem, in the forest. Hence it is placed under primary consumer. And the primary consumer is also consumed by some organism that is called a secondary consumer. Now we can call carnivorous is also known as secondary consumer. Can we call carnivorous as a secondary consumer? Dear students, here rightly we can say because a rabbit is eaten by another organism. I'd like to mention there is a snake. If you take a snake, the snake which consumes rabbit, the rabbit which consumes plant. Hence, rabbit is categorized under primary consumer, and the rabbit is also consumed by another level of organism that is a snake. The snake is placed under trophic level 3. Hence, the snake or the position of T3 or a snake is considered as a secondary consumer. Now, here, which of the following is a secondary consumer? A, plant, B, rabbit, C, snake. What's our option?
C, snake.
C, snake.
Snake, very good. Snake always occupies gas trophic level. Could you mention the trophic level?
T3.
Third
Trophic level.
Padma, T3, very good. The snake is an example of dance categories of organisms. A, herbivorous, B, carnivorous. Could you mention?
Carnivorous.
Very good. Because carnivorous is an organism that feeds, that consumes herbivorous. Simply I can say herbivorous is eaten by carnivorous. Simply I can say, right? On seeing the structure of a trophic level, you can understand carnivorous, which is going to feed herbivorous. Hence, it is known as a secondary consumer. As herbivorous consumes a producer, hence it is placed under primary consumer. And as primary and secondary, the herbivorous is also eaten by trophic level 3 that consists of some organism, particularly I can say snake, the snake which takes secondary consumer, right? And sometimes the snake is also eaten by an organism that is called a top carnivorous. It is also known as a top carnivorous, or rightly I can say tertiary consumer. For that, I'd like to give an example, eagle. Now just imagine eagle. What is eagle? Eagle is an example of top carnivorous. Eagle is occupied in trophic structure. Mention the level of trophic structure. T4. Yes, student. Now you can understand. Once again, let me represent the trophic structure. Now this is a trophic structure. Just imagine, right? This is a trophic structure. Please understand. Once again, I want to mention the trophic structure, right? As we represent T1 and second one T2 and third one T3 and fourth one T4. Always producer occupied. Producer, right? And second category is a rabbit. Second one is a rabbit. And third one is a snake. And fourth one is eagle. Right? As I said, producer is always represented by T1. Rabbit is nothing but it is a primary consumer, and snake is a secondary consumer, and eagle is a tertiary consumer. Another terms are there. Rabbit is also known as a, or this is a producer. Rabbit is also known as, they can say, herbivores. Herbivores. And snake is also categorized under carnivores. Carnivores. An eagle, which is placed under top carnivores. Top carnivores. So please understand there are different trophic structure, right? Producer, herbivorous, carnivorous, and top carnivorous. Now, could you give an example for each one, dear students? Eagle is an example of dash categories of organism. Please answer. Yes, students. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Which of the following organism occupies T4?
Eagle.
Eagle always occupies top of the trophic structure. And which of the following organism occupies bottom of the trophic structure? Bottom.
Producer.
Very good, ma. Producer and all the plants, right? Producer nothing but a green plant. All the green plants are placed under trophic level 1 or under producer. Now, just imagine this is a structure where you find snake. Now, could you tell me the position of snake in trophic structure?
Trophic level 3.
Very good. On trophic level 3 is represented by dash categories of organism. Could you mention? Very good, ma. Very good. What's the name? Very good. Good. And rabbit. Rabbit is also represented by dash structure. Rabbit is represented as a
Herbivorous.
herbivorous. Green plants are represented as a green plant. Is represented as a
Producers.
very good.
Producers.
Now, did you understand what I taught?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shall I go for next topic?
Yes, sir.
Right. Next we pass on to energy flow. The next topic is energy flow. Actually, energy flow is nothing but a transfer of energy from one organism to another organism. Actually, energy flow, it is a functional key in an ecosystem. Energy flow is nothing but it is a flow of energy. It is a flow of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level, right? So this is the nature of it. Always the energy flow unidirection. The flow of energy always in unidirection. That means the energy flows from one organism to another organism in an ecosystem unidirectionally. That's why energy which flows in unidirection, not in multi-direction, not in bi-direction. Right? Hence, there is an energy flow is considered to be as a functional unit or functional key. It is nothing but it is a functional key because there is a flow of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level. So this is the nature of energy flow. Simply energy flow is nothing but it is a representation of flowing of energy or moving of energy or transferring of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level, right? This flow of energy always takes place unidirectionally, not in multi-direction, not in bi-direction, right? Hence, it is known as a functional key to the ecosystem. Which of the following is known as a functional key of ecosystem? In food chain, energy flow. Dear students, please understand, energy flow is always a unidirection. And it is a functional unit of an ecosystem. I'd like to illustrate, I'd like to give an example for this in order to understand the flow of energy. Now, this is an ecosystem. If you take any ecosystem, you find. Just I'd like to explain very clearly. Now, this is a structure of an ecosystem in which you find the first category is the plants. Now, always the plants are trophic level 1, right? Plants are represented by T1, and these carnivores also represented by T2, right? And trophic level 3 always occupied by carnivores. And T4 is there. T4 is also present, right? So here, the flow of energy, not in multi-direction. Here, the light energy is utilized by green plants and converted into chemical energy in the form of starch. Actually, this is a green plant which receives the light. Now, this is a sun which emits energies to electron, right? These energies, energy, the light energy, which is trapped by green plants, leaves. And this light energy is converted into chemical energy in the form of starch. Understand? Now, the starch food material, in order to consume starch food material, this is a rabbit which feeds some green plants. So when the rabbit or herbivores feeds and eats green leaves, what will happen is the starch is formed in leaves which is flowed from green plant to herbivores. So here the energy which flows unidirectionally from plants to herbivores or from producer to rabbit or from plants to rabbit. So the plants comes under producer and the rabbit comes under herbivores. So as I said, producer always occupies a trophic level 1 and the herbivores occupies trophic level 2 and carnivores occupy trophic level 3. Just imagine now this is a ecological pyramid in which just remember and you got to represent always a T1 occupies a trophic level 1 at the bottom of the structure and T2 which occupies a second level of trophic structure and the carnivores always occupies in trophic level 3 and top carnivores occupies trophic level 4. So among which the flow of energy from trophic level 1 to 2, here the flow of energy from trophic level 1 to 2. So here the energy which flows unidirectionally. From T2, the flow of energy which passes from trophic level 2 to 3. So from T3 to the energy is transferred from T3 to T4. So hence, this movement of energy or transfer of energy in an ecosystem unidirectionally. That's why this flow of energy is considered to be a functional key to the ecosystem, right? So here the transfer of energy from plants to herbivores after storing, after utilization of energy, the remaining energy is transferred to another categories of organisms which are occupy particular ecosystem, particular trophic structure. And these carnivores always utilize some quantity of energy, and remaining energy are also transferred when it is buried under the soil, namely decomposed. So the flow of energy, which deals about simply utilization and storage of energy, simply. After utilization of energy by decomposer, the excess amount of energy is also released to the soil, and the soil which gets rich amount of energy. Again, the root system which absorbs nutrients in the form of micronutrients and the macronutrient element. Again, this energy is released, right, and stored in the soil. Again, the root system which absorbs and utilized it or used for making of carbohydrate components. That's why I said flow of energy is always in unidirectional, and it plays an important role as a functional key to the ecosystem, right? Yes, students. Now, could you tell me what is the nature of energy flow? Is it a bidirectional or unidirectional? The flow of energy? My dear students, the flow of energy, is it in bidirectional or unidirectional?
Unidirectional.
Unidirectional.
Very good, ma'am. From where to where energy is transferred?
One organism to another organism.
One tropical level to another tropical.
Very good, ma'am. That is
Another
our
tropical level.
the movement of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level in an ecosystem, right? We're talking about in food chain. So that is the nature of a flow. Always the energy which flows unidirectional. Even though there are many organisms are present in an ecosystem, right? But energy does not flow bidirectional, right? In multi-direction. Understand? Okay, so next we pass on the utilization of energy, right? That is called, there is a utilization of energy on the basis of usage and storage of energy. The energy is divided into simply two universal laws. So first of all, I want to mention thermodynamics law. It is absolutely related for flow of energy. Simply, I can say laws of thermodynamics. What is thermodynamics law? There are two laws. The one is thermodynamics law 1 and thermodynamics law 2. Law 1, right? And second one is the law 2, thermodynamics law 2, right? According to first law, energy is a constant. Universally, energy is a constant. Energy is a universally constant. Dear student, please understand energy. It is very important concept. Energy can be neither creator nor destroyed. But one type of energy can be converted into another type of energy. That is called the thermodynamics law 1. According to thermodynamics law, energy is a stable form. Energy is a constant. It is a universal truth. Energy cannot be destroyed. Simply, energy can be neither created nor destroyed. But one type of energy can be converted into another type of energy, right? The one type of energy is transferred transferred into another type of energy. Another type of energy, right? So one type of energy can be transferred into another type of energy. Now, one type of energy is transferred into another type of energy, but the energy is stable. It is universally constant, right? For that, just I'd like to mention an example to understand thermodynamics law one, right? Dear student, please understand. Now, photosynthesis is the right example for thermodynamics law one. Photosynthesis. Actually, photosynthesis is a process by which, simply I can say, light energy is converted into chemical energy, or solar energy is converted into chemical energy. Light energy is converted into chemical energy. For that, you can understand it cannot be destroyed. That's why I said the energy is a universal constant, stable form, but it cannot be destroyed. But one type of energy can be converted into another type of energy. That's why energy is a universal constant, right? So if you take some raw material, what are the raw materials are necessary for plants? Carbon dioxide, CO2, 6 CO2 plus 6 water molecule, right? Which gives rise to form C6, H12, O6 and 6 oxygen with the help of chlorophyll pigment in a plant. So this is an example of a universal law, thermodynamics law 1. According to thermodynamics law 1, energy is a universal constant, stable form. The energy can be neither created nor destroyed, but one type of energy can be converted into another type of energy. Here, the light energy, sunlight, which utilizes some raw material such as carbon dioxide and water, and this light energy is converted into another type of energy. I mean chemical energy, that is, it is in the form of starch or glucose, right? So this is a universal law, universal example of thermodynamics law 1. Understand? Yes, students? Could you tell me what is thermodynamics law 1? On seeing the equation, can you guess? Can you tell me? Dear students, I'm discussing about thermodynamics law. Now, photosynthesis is given. Photosynthesis is a process by which a green plant synthesizes its own food material in the form of starch. In order to synthesize starch food material, the plant which may use some carbon dioxide, some amount of water with the help of light. Now, this is solar light or sunlight is converted into chemical energy. This is a universal example of thermodynamics law 1. Understand? Now, how many carbon dioxide is involved? Yes, students. Students, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
How many carbon dioxide is needed to synthesize a molecule of glucose?
6
Six
carbon
molecule of carbon.
Very good. 6 carbon dioxide. Then how many water molecules needed?
6 water molecules.
Now this is a reactant. Understand? Some raw materials such as carbon dioxide and water. These two materials are replaced by green plant with the help of sunlight, and this energy is converted into another type of. That's why I said energy is a universal constant. Universally, it is a stable. It cannot be destroyed. That's why I said law of thermodynamics law. That is the one. According to thermodynamics law 1, energy can be neither created nor destroyed. But one type of energy can be converted to another type of energy. So here, the one type of energy is carbon dioxide and water, which are converted into glucose and the oxygen. Actually, glucose, right, which is synthesized as a food material, and oxygen is also released into the atmosphere by the green plant. So this is simply something but of a thermodynamics law, right? And let's come back to thermodynamics law 2. According to thermodynamics law 2, I am talking about the second law. Dear students, I am talking about second law. That is very interesting one. If you take 100% of energy, dear student, lost, right? If you take 100% of energy, just listen. I'm dealing a second law, thermodynamics law, right? Two. According to thermodynamics law 2, right? When transfer of energy from one organism to another organism, only 10% of energy is utilized and remaining 90% of energy is lost in the form of heat. So that is called the universal law. That is a thermodynamics law. According to thermodynamics law 2, right? What is it? Energy, when the transfer of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level. Just imagine now this is a trophic level in which you can classify T1, T2, T3, T4. No, it is a T1 and the second level is a T2 and the third level is a T3 and fourth one is T4. Here, when 100% of energy is given to bottom of the trophic structure level 1, here only 10% is only utilized by the organism found in trophic level 1. And remaining 90% of energy is lost in the form of heat or dissipated, right? So this is a universal truth of thermodynamics law 2, right? Yes, students, did you understand thermodynamics law 2? If you take 100% of energy, how much of percentage of energy is utilized by every trophic structure? Only
10%.
very good, Mark. Remaining 90% of energy is lost when the transfer of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level, right? So that is stated by thermodynamics law 2, right? Thank you for joining, my dear student. Almost your time is over, and I'm going to give some home assignment. Please take down. If there is any doubts, please ask. Any doubt regarding the topic?
No, sir.
Very good, Mark. Thank you for joining. Please take down some home assignment.